DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast here on this Wednesday night, 8 p.m. sharp, as the NFL schedule releases here. If you're on social media, Big E, my partner in crime, is with me tonight. He released this at like noon. So we're going to find out here in a few moments, if it already hasn't dropped, if Ian was a genius or was he a fool? Big E,
I'm watching it right now, man. I'm doing great.
You're doing great?
I am doing great so far too, and everything is right on track. Hold on, week 14 is right. Week 15 is right. Week 16 is Sunday Night Football. 17 the Bucks and 18 is to be determined. So it's going to be one of those Saturday or Sunday.
But it's the right opponent. That's the key thing here.
That is
okay.
The right
So
opponent.
Ian, you get all the credit for breaking this today on social media. Save Dolphins fans from actually having to stay up late here and watch this. As the schedule release is now official, we're going to go through it all on tonight's show. I actually think, and we're going to talk about this more in depth, I think the schedule is a good schedule for the Dolphins, and just a first overview type of thing, they better get off to a fast start because the first 8 weeks is significantly easier than the last 8. But overall, it's tough to judge these things because you don't know who's going to be hurt, who's going to be healthy when you play them. There's a lot of luck involved and all that stuff. But I think the schedule broke pretty good for the Dolphins. Before we get to any of that, let's handle some business. First off, if you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor. Smash that like button right now. Smash the like button. Let's all take a second at the top. Get it out of the way so we all did it. Smash that like button right now. Also subscribe to the channel. And I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Caneswear. Everyone go to the website, caneswear.com, for all the very best Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. And if you're in South Florida, you can stop by their store, 2655 South University Drive in Davie, to buy stuff in person. But if you need a Miami Dolphins hat, if you need a Miami Dolphins hoodie, if you need a Miami Dolphins t-shirt, polo shirt, golf shirt, anything of the bunch, go to the website, caneswear.com. They got stuff for the Miami Heat. They got stuff for the Florida Panthers, the Miami Marlins, of course, the Miami Hurricanes, caneswear.com. And if you love this show and love all of us at Dolphins Talk, Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk, $3 a month, bonus podcast, a private message board, a little bit less toxic than social media. We have a lot of fun. And plus we give away autographs and apparel and bobblehead dolls and all these great Miami Dolphins gifts. Patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. All right, Ian, I am uploading the video that the Dolphins just released. It should be ready to go in a couple minutes. But real quick, not going week to week because we're going to do that in a second. First thoughts of the schedule from a big picture point of view.
I am, excuse me. Honestly, I'm shocked by how many nationally televised games and primetime.
Me too.
This year. That was highly unexpected, and I think people were questioning kind of the leaks earlier because they're like, how is that even possible? 5 primetime games. 2 of them, if I remember correctly, 2 of them at home, if you don't count the Commanders game that's in Madrid, right? And then the other 2 are away. This is fantastic. I'm one of those people that loves the night games, even though I know fans of the Dolphins over the last couple of seasons are used to seeing some bad games on Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, whatever those nights are. But in order for the Dolphins to make the playoffs, they're going to have to be good. They're going to have to be good at night, and they're going to have to be good down the stretch as well. So one other thing, too, that I'm really excited about, Mike, is that I liked was the schedule release video that they did.
I have it ready to go.
They had Zach Thomas narrating it. And
Zach's our boy.
Favorite. We were just talking about him right before the show started.
Because
too.
If you've been living under a rock and you didn't hear, we had Zach Thomas on the DolphinsTalk.com podcast yesterday. 45-minute interview. Miami Dolphins Hall of Famer, Miami Dolphins legend. As I told him to his face, Zach, you are one of the 3 most beloved Miami Dolphins players since 1980, up there with Marino and Ricky. I go, this fan base loves you so much. I hope you know that. And he said very kind words about the Miami Dolphins fans and how he was so appreciative of when they went to bat for him to get into the Hall of Fame. And he couldn't have been a nicer guy. Listen to that interview. We cover his entire career from Texas Tech to his first year with the Dolphins, his relationship with Jimmy, his relationship with Junior Seau, which is very heartwarming, actually, his relationship with Ricky Williams, and all that good stuff. So check out that interview. And we have a special guest here. Let me get everything ready. Joining us from Western New York, Tom Ernest. Tom, you're late. You will be fined.
All right, just send it to my son.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
actually, we don't fine for people being late. So hopefully next time he'll be better. That's all I'm going to say.
Next show, he's going to start off in the penalty box. That's how it works. All right.
I like it. Penalty box.
So I got the video. It's a minute 19. The Miami. If you're watching on YouTube, this is great. If you're listening in audio form, after this video plays, we will go through week by week. But for the people on YouTube, this is why you should subscribe to the YouTube channel. Here's the video.
We've carried it all. Good, but not great. Close, but still so far away. Confident, but never satisfied. But when you look inward, dig deeper than ever before, you learn that sometimes the tide doesn't turn on its own. You have to turn it. We're done looking back. Now we charge forward. Forged by perfection, sharpened by adversity, bonded by purpose. Because no spirit can outlast the one that's building beneath the surface.
Love it. Love the video this year. A lot better than last year's. A lot better than last year's.
Yeah, last year they got a little too cute with it because of we're the fastest team in the NFL. This one has a little bit more purpose to it, which I can respect.
Not to be confused with porpoise.
Yeah, exactly. A little more purpose in this one.
And I still think, once again, this is me reading into this. I have no inside information. That whole neon logo thing is going to tie into our rivals' uniform, which we will probably be wearing week 4, home against the Jets, Monday Night Football. That's the game where it makes the most sense to wear that in a primetime game, obviously. And so I don't know what that's going to be. Tom and myself, we had a big debate about this last time. I don't want to see no pink in this thing, but if it's at neon, I'm all for it. And I think that might tie in because they've really, let's say, promoted it on their social media the past 24 hours. So we'll see. I'm sure that's going to be announced here in the coming weeks. But let's get through the schedule, guys. Let's talk about it here.
So one other thing too, before you jump into it, Mike, and I know we're going to talk about it, you're going to or start kind of paying attention to it. Outside of those nationally televised games, including the game in Madrid, all the other games start at 1 o'clock.
Oh, thank God. I love that.
All the other
no
games.
idea how much I love
100% of the other games are 1 o'clock.
Sign me up.
Sign me up for that. It's the best. 1 p.m. on a Sunday. To me, that is NFL football at its finest. That is your time frame where you get, you can wake up, have a little something to eat, run some errands, and 1 o'clock on the East Coast, NFL football starts. That's the best time for a game, especially for a team like Miami, where it's hot and humid. Those games early in the year, you want to be playing at 1. I know the one versus the Jets is in prime time. That's fine. For the most part, though, 1 p.m. East Coast time is a great start time for the game. All right, let's go through. I'll just do it in 4-week spans here. Week 1, the Miami Dolphins open up at the Indianapolis Colts. 1 o'clock. Week 2, the Miami Dolphins are home against the Patriots, their home opener. Week 3, this is always the one. Short week, Thursday Night Football to Buffalo. I saw fans all upset. Look, they're on the schedule every year. We have to go there and play.
Yeah.
You might as well get out of the way early. And plus, it's not in the snow, so there's that. And then week 4, they're home Monday night. So they go from a Thursday to a Monday. Extended rest here. Monday Night Football versus Jets.
And one point I'm going to make is that I have a feeling that's going to be the doubleheader, the Monday Night Football doubleheader, because our game starts at 7:15 p.m. on Monday night.
Oh, that's right. Who's the other Monday night one? That means we'll probably get the B crew. We're not going to get Joe and Troy.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to check on that. All right. Tom, you first. Those first 4 games, what stands out?
Well, you got all your division opponents in the first 4 weeks of the season. You have 4 conference games right out of the gate. So you're going to set the tone for the season, because it honestly doesn't matter what you do against the NFC teams in the long run. It's what you do against your own conference that matters. And it's 4 big games out of the gate. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't take care of business in those first 4 games, you are fighting a massive uphill battle. But that
better be 2-1. They better be 2-1.
Stands out. That's what stands out to me right away.
Yep. Ian, your thoughts there on the first month?
Again, 3 out of those 4 teams that you're looking at, you probably aren't overly worried about at this exact moment. Although, looking at the Patriots, how much money they spend in free agency, knowing they've got a new head coach and a kind of a new direction. And I've said it before, I think Drake May is going to have a successful career in the NFL. That one, I think a lot of people are like looking at last year's record and saying they're going to be a cakewalk. And I don't think that's going to be the case. And then the Jets too, you just don't really know what you're going to get. They have a new coach. They have a new system. So in theory, you should be 3-1 by the end of this period. I always Buffalo, some people are like, well, Buffalo is not Buffalo's going to kick your butt. Well, I remind people, we were in Buffalo last year. We were within a 60-some-odd yard field goal of taking that game into overtime in Buffalo. So it's not a gimme. None of these games are going to be gimmies in the NFL. And, at some point, we're going to have to beat Buffalo some way, somehow.
Law of averages, we're going to beat them at some point.
At some point, have to. Yeah.
Law of averages.
One would hope.
Ian, check your mic. I don't know if you're on your mic or if you're on the computer one. You might be on the right one. I just don't know. Real quick, week 1 versus the Colts. Here's the deal. Miami's secondary is going to be bad this year. That's a good soft opening going against the Colts and Mr. Daniel Jones. So that's a nice soft opening for them. Week 2, Patriots at home. New head coach. It's going to be super hot for that game, which works in our favor. That's a good home opener versus a team in your division. Week 3 versus the Bills, like we just said, we have to play them at some point. Now, for the Bills, that's probably going to be their rivals jersey game where they're wearing the special uniform, which I don't know how Nike and the powers that be can make a uniform to reflect the city of Buffalo. I'm thinking it's a half-eaten chicken wing, a heroin needle, and a dead hooker. God bless the people at Nike coming up with a rivalry jersey for the fine people of Western New York. Sorry, Tom. I know you're not technically in Buffalo, but you're out there. What are those poor people at Nike going to do? I have no idea. And then again, the Jets. Again, you go from Thursday to a Monday. That's an 11-day break pretty much at the start of the season, which is good, especially if someone like Jalen Phillips maybe doesn't start the season with the team. Maybe he comes back week 4. Yeah, that might be a nice little extra extended time period there. And the Jets, like you said, we don't really know. Here's what I know about the Jets this year. I don't think they'll be great, but with that head coach and a new head coach, they're going to play hard. Because most teams that get a new head coach play hard year 1. So I think they're going to be annoying and pesky. That's a good first month of the season. Let's go to the next 4 games. Week 5 at the Carolina Panthers. Week 6 home against the LA Chargers, and everyone can go and get crazy about their Tua versus Herbert stuff for a week and go nuts. Week 7 at the Brownies. Week 8 at the Falcons. Tom, we got a 4-game stretch there. Not the worst stretch in the world. What are your thoughts on Panthers, Chargers at home, then at Browns, at Falcons? 3 out of the 4 are on the road.
Yeah, all winnable football games. On paper. Yeah, obviously that doesn't matter.
On paper, it always helps.
3 out. You're getting 3 road games out in that stretch. is, to me, fantastic, because what you're going to talk about after is really the home stretch, with pun intended, for the Dolphins. They, splitting that, go 2-2, maybe get to 3-1 after your first 4 games. If you're hovering at 500 or a little bit better, the next 4 or 5 weeks after that is really where your season is made or broken.
Yep. Ian, you're muted.
So
There you go. Sound better now.
yeah, and this doesn't look like a scary stretch right here. These 4 games.
Nope.
Browns are the Browns. Falcons, you don't really know what Michael Penix Jr., right? That's
Penix.
his name, right?
Penix.
Excuse me.
Yep.
And then, like you said, the Chargers, you just don't know what you're going to get with them either. And then the Panthers, they're kind of, it still feels like they're rebuilding to get back to some sort of relevance again. And the only thing is, and again, there's a lot of question marks. Sometimes, last year, I think they said we were going to have one of the hardest schedules, and it ended up being probably one of the easiest by the end of the year, even though the Dolphins couldn't win. Right. And now it's kind of like we're somewhere in the middle of, is it the hardest schedule? Is it the easiest schedule? But these guys could, come together real quickly. So it's hard to say here on May 14th that these are going to be easy wins. And no one wants to say that, obviously. But just looking at who they are, what their history has been, we should be able to get through the first 8 weeks at 7-1 or 6-2, to be honest with you.
That would be great. Yeah, because like I said, the first 8 weeks or so, much easier than the second half of the schedule. So they really have to, if they can have a fast start, then they do have some room if they fall on a banana peel the second half of the year and still be okay. Build yourself a little cushion, because look, we don't know what each team will be come September. It's only May 14th. I'll tell you this. There's a few things I know. I know for a fact our secondary is going to be weak. There's just nobody left to sign that's going to fix it. But I know those teams in the second half, like the Bills, the Ravens, the Commanders, are really good teams. And those are going to be really tough games late in the year. And plus, they got to go play at the Patriots the final week in the snow. So, yeah, the first half is easier. With the Panthers, you're right. It's an up-and-coming team who I think is going to be good. But I think they might be good November on. So having them in the first 5 weeks is good, because they're probably still going to be improving. I'd rather play them early than late. Chargers, they're going to be a tough team. They got a good head coach. He'll have them ready. That's going to be a dogfight. At the Browns, by week 7, they might be going away from Joe Flacco to one of the rookies for all we know. That might be a nice time to play them. And at Atlanta, it's indoors, short flight. You never know with Atlanta. It's a young quarterback, so who knows. Again, first 8 weeks, kind of like it. Now, this is where business picks up week 9 on. Because after Atlanta, Dolphins come home, short week, another Thursday night game against those stinking Baltimore Ravens. Okay. Now, it's a short week and you're at home, so that's a good thing. You want to be home on the short weeks. So if you got to play the Ravens, I'd rather play them on a short week at home. So there's that. Week 10, home against the Bills. Again, you have 10 days off to prepare for the Bills at home. You got back-to-back home games, extended time to prepare for the Bills. That's a good thing. Week 11, off to Madrid. Washington, neutral field. There's no real home field there. I don't care what anyone says. It's a neutral field against a very good Washington team. Then week 12, they get a bye. So that stretch there, Tommy. Week 9, Ravens at home, short week. Stay home, 10 days off, Bills, and then off to Madrid is what it is. Your thoughts on that 4-week stretch?
Again, you're playing two teams that absolutely have stolen your lunch money. The Ravens, the last time the Dolphins faced them, they gave up damn near 60 points in a win, and you win the division type game in Baltimore. And then obviously Buffalo. I'm surprised it says 1 p.m. honestly on the clock. I'm sure OSHA will get that phone call, get that game flexed to 4 o'clock on that Sunday. You don't want to have that too much heat down there in South Florida for these Buffalo Bills fans. But in all honesty, those two games are massive. The Washington game should be fun, a little breakfast ball over in Madrid. If the Dolphins are healthy going into that football game, fingers crossed, it should be a fun matchup. I think Jaden Daniels is an up-and-coming player in the NFL, just like everybody else did, which is why they scheduled the Commanders to face the Dolphins in Spain. is because you want a big name there. You could have had Joe Burrow, you could have had Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, but Jaden Daniels is that up and coming player that a lot of people would like to see probably in Spain.
Ian, some thoughts?
The first two, Baltimore and the Bills,
Split.
the perennial playoff teams right
Yeah.
there. They don't miss the playoffs. They go deep into the playoffs. And they've got consistent coaching, consistent quarterbacks. Them and then playing Washington, like you mentioned, up and coming team, Jaden Daniels, he's really proven to be something special in the NFL. This is going to basically determine where the Dolphins go the rest of the season. And if they go into these three, and I expect all three of those teams to have winning records, and if they go into those three and drop them all, then the rest of the season is going to be really tough to come back, because it does get easier after those three.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier before those three.
Yep.
But
just don't go 0-3. You can't go 0-3.
You can't.
1-2 at
exactly.
worst. 2-1 be great, but don't go 0-3.
And I hate the fact that the Bills are going to be playing in Miami in November, where it's probably going to be 65 degrees and absolutely beautiful weather. I wish it were, week 2, week 3, but I think we're past that right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, at some point we just got to beat them, and we can't always rely on the weather and stuff like that. At some point, you just got to punch them in the mouth and beat them, and that's sort of what they got to get over that hump. But yeah, that is the stretch that's going to tell our season right there. So they come home after the bye, week 13, home against the Saints. There's 2 games on this schedule where I will say here on May 14th, I know I bet my mortgage. One of them is an automatic win, and one of them is an automatic loss. The Saints at home, week 13 after a bye, that's an automatic win. Mike told you first. Then week 14, MetLife takeover at the Jets. Shouldn't be too – I mean, it's hit or miss with the weather there. It is early December, so it could be snowy and cold. But most of the time these days it's been like, I don't know,
40s.
high 40s, low 50s. It's been okay.
Yeah.
And it's at 1 o'clock. That helps. Week 15, here's the one. Look, I don't care who they got playing quarterback. I just don't see us winning this game. Week 15, Monday Night Football versus the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. I just got a bad feeling about that one. And I know Pittsburgh's not some world beater. I don't even know if they're going to have Rodgers. I don't know. I just know we're not going to win that game somehow. That just seems like on the road, mid-December, right before Christmas. This seems like bad. I got bad vibes on that one. And then week 16, the Bengals at home, Sunday Night Football. That is a flexible game, though, to where if Miami stinks or if Cincinnati stinks, that game's getting moved out for like another Cowboys game. You can bank on that. So, yes, that game right now is Sunday night. Those are 2 teams, though, that you really can't trust. And that could be easily flexed to 1 or 4. So, Tom, Saints, Jets, Steelers, Bengals.
I'm not as sold as you are on the Steelers being an automatic loss. I don't know what the hell they're doing there.
Outside of quarterback, they're really good. That's the problem. They got everything else.
They still don't have. Yeah, you're right. They still don't have a quarterback. They traded away.
Skylar Thompson beat us.
Oh God! Hey, listen, if that happens, just shut the network off, Mike. Just shut it off. If Skylar Thompson has the Steelers winning a football game against the Dolphins, that would be the end of it for me. I will hand in my resignation in my blood. It would be, oh God. But the Jets game, MetLife takeover. Always interesting games against the Jets. Last year, Tyreek Hill quit on the team. Hopefully nobody will quit this year.
He might be gone by then. Let's be honest. He might be gone at the trade deadline.
Yeah, that's true. The Saints game after the bye week, I am in agreement with you that is giving me vibes of week 3 against the Denver Broncos in 2023. It's giving me that kind of vibes. The Saints are just, I don't know what they are as a football team at this point, and they're going to be running out Spencer Rattler, Tyler Show, Jake Hayner. Who knows what that team is going to look like at that point? But if the Dolphins are healthy, they should beat the oblivion out of the New Orleans Saints.
Ian, anything with those 4 games that really stands out for you?
I echo with what Tom said about Pittsburgh. I think if they don't have the quarterback, if they haven't figured it out, so I think that could still be a loss depending on where they are. I mean, who are their wide receivers right now too? Didn't they just get rid of
DK Metcalf? and then
All
a
right.
bunch of
Metcalf, they got Metcalf, yeah.
And Metcalf is talented, but he's in his late 20s? Is that right? I'm not.
Let me
I know
see.
he's
I think he's 27.
27. All right.
Metcalf is 27. He'll be 28 on December 14th.
All right, so he'll be 28 around the time that we're playing him. But
Still a beast.
he is. But who else
He's
they
a
got?
beast.
I'm
He's
looking
a
right
beast.
now because I know their roster. See, they got Metcalf, Robert Woods, and Calvin Austin at wide receiver, running back, Khalib Johnson, who they just took in this draft, I believe.
Yep.
Mason
Joe
Rudolph
Horn.
is there. Here's the deal. Mason Rudolph's had a lot of success against the Dolphins. Right now, he's the starter. They have a very good offensive line. And then on the other side of the ball, Harmon, the rookie, who's got a great story. And obviously Watt and everything they got
Watt,
there. And
yeah.
also, two Dolphins could come home to kill us. Mika Fitzpatrick and Deshaun Elliott. So
I just
outside of
they don't
quarterback-
scare you. They don't scare
No, it's not
teams this
scary.
year. Yeah.
But if they sign Rodgers and he's competent, like he was at the end of last year for that, see, nobody likes Rodgers. He's just like an ass. But the second half of last year, he was actually pretty good. Not great, but like average. And if he's just that type of quarterback with Metcalf, they're going to be a solid team with that offensive line and with Watt and those guys on the other side of the ball. They're kind of just like us in a lot of ways, like good, not great. And
Right.
on the road, Monday night, cold. I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, it's a long ways away, but that's just my first impression. I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's a lot, and but again, I think this is a stretch that's very winnable. These 4
Yes.
games, and then also I know we're going to talk about the last 2 games, but I think
Yep.
these final 6 games are very, very winnable. So we'll see. I know we're going to talk about those last 2
Yep.
here in a second.
Right here, last 2, week 16. No, week 17. I'm sorry. The battle for Florida. Sorry, Tony Khan. You're getting thrown out of this one. Miami versus Tampa Bay, the 2 original Florida teams. And to me, that's a fun game. Those are 2 fun teams. Again, not the greatest teams in the world, but 2 fun teams to watch at Miami, Tampa Bay, Hard Rock Stadium. And then to close it out, week 18, Dolphins at the Patriots on the road in New England. That's going to really be your true cold weather. That's on January 4th. They're going to be snow, sleet, wind, rain. That's where he's going to have to run the ball if we're still in it by that point. So, yeah, week 17, Tampa Bay. That should be a fun game at home. I kind of wish that game was earlier in the season because, Tom, we'd find a way to get to that game. I think that's a fun game. And then week 18, Dolphins travel to Patriots. Any thoughts, Tom, on those last 2?
Win both. That's
There you go, baby.
Win
Just
both.
win, baby.
Let's win, baby. That Patriots game could be very, very important. Depending
yeah.
on how, that could be for a wild card spot. That could be, win or go home type of scenario for either team. If the Patriots, take that step with Mike Vrabel this year, that game could be very vital for both teams. So we'll see. But yeah, I agree with you on the Bucs. Yeah, that was a fun football team last year. I think they're going to be just as fun.
They got 3 great wide receivers. Going to be helpful for a
And
secondary.
Mecca Buka and
Yeah.
Jalen McMillan, who's kind of going to fall off the radar, but him being their number 4 receiver there that's crazy. That
Yeah, that
offense,
passing
that
game's
offense
nuts.
should put up a lot of points.
Yeah. He's not undefeated against Super Bowl head coaches.
Harbaugh's.
He lost to the Ravens where they gave up all those points.
Yeah, he lost to the Ravens.
Was Tua
I
playing
wish he
that
was
game?
in a. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He played that game.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, he played that
yeah.
game. Yeah.
It was the last
That was the
one.
one
that
year he
killed him.
stayed healthy. That was the 1 year he stayed healthy.
Why
yeah,
are we sharing fake news then? Why did I share?
I
was
don't.
wondering.
Ian, you're in the penalty box with Tom.
But he
yeah.
was on time. He's just posting
Ian's
fake
on
news.
time. So he's got a 2-minute minor. You got a 5-minute major.
Ooh.
Ian, any thoughts on those final 2 games?
I think it's going to be a fun way to finish the season, to be honest with you. And that last weekend's game, that last game of the week.
Let's just hope it matters. Let's just hope it matters.
Then that's what we hope for, right? That's the goal. And I think this team is going to go as far as Tua can take them. And if Tua gets hurt,
Absolutely.
I think all
Always
bets are
does.
off. Yeah.
Always
If
does.
he gets hurt, I know. Look, I am happy they went with Zach Wilson. I'm happy they took Quinn Ewers. But as I said on the show with Tom last week, I believe, we got to just be honest with ourselves. That is not an improved situation over last year. It's just a new situation. New faces, new bodies, new hope. The whole Skylar Thompson, Tyler Huntley, we think and we hope Zach Wilson is an upgrade. But the last time we've seen him on the field was with the Jets, and it wasn't very good. So, yes, there's been positive reports of his time with the Broncos, even though he didn't play. Great guy, showed up every day, worked hard, and they saw improvement in practice. But again, we're talking about practice. And with Quinn Ewers, as much as I don't think he's a true 7th-round pick, I think he fell. He still went in round 7. You have to factor that in at the end of the day. So I like that room more than I liked it last year. But if Zach Wilson has to play 4 or 5 games, we're done. I mean, sorry, we're done. It just is what it is. So really, again, this season comes down to, can a quarterback stay healthy? And what the bleep are they going to do in the secondary? Because once they trade Ramsey, that is an embarrassment of a secondary. I don't know how Chris Greer sleeps at night on May 14th with that group in the secondary. They are lying to themselves if they think Fedi Malafanu, who's not a starter in this league, because if you put in a guy who's always hurt, expect him to play 17 games, he will be on IR by October 1st. He's not built for that. And then Ashton Davis was let go by the Jets. You know why? Well, he wasn't very good. And if you start him, great. He'll stay healthy, but he's not very good. And he might make you miss Jordan Poyer at the end of the day. So it's like they have to do something. They better get one safety. They better get one safety and one veteran corner, at least one veteran corner. And I know the guys out there aren't anything great, but they better start adding bodies here quick. Because if they're banking on Cam Smith, like the report from the Miami Herald said yesterday, I just want to pound my head right into this desk. It's like, really? That's the plan? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
It's not a good plan. There are very good receivers the Dolphins have to go against every year, and I am scared to death that, like you said, a Cam Smith or Storm Duck on the outside are the guys that are going to be covering the DK Metcalfs and Khalil Shakirs, and the list goes on and on and on of the wide receivers the Dolphins have to play this year. Cincinnati, especially. Good
Cincinnati
Lord.
and Tampa alone. They got 3-4 guys that go to Pro Bowl every year.
Oh God, it would be absolute torture to watch it. But I personally think that when the Ramsey trade is completed, I wouldn't put it past the Dolphins to have something potentially ready to go for a trade of maybe a guy that might be disgruntled with his contract, which is a Dolphins MO type move. To bring someone in that's going to elevate the room after Ramsey is gone. Get younger, get better. But who knows who, if, or when that could potentially happen. But the Dolphins definitely have to make a move.
Tyreek Stevenson with the Bears is a name I keep reaching for. I think the Bears are fed up with him. Now, look, he is a little bit of a clown, but he fits right in. He fits right in with this group. He's from Miami. He played at the U. He'd be going home. Hopefully someone could talk some sense into him like, look, dude, Chicago let you go because you're a clown. I mean, he was the guy on the field waving to the fans as Washington's throwing a Hail Mary to win the game. He wasn't even watching the game. And that was just one of many mistakes he did last year. So I even part with the 3rd-round pick that we just got to get him because I think the talent's that good. I don't know if they want to part with him, though, because, once again, the talent is that good, and they might want to see if they can get his head on straight. Or, obviously, with the Packers, Jair Alexander, we've all heard that. But, again, he's injured a lot and stuff. Someone in our chat, Rob Ashton, love Rob, he's a proud member of DolphinsTalk Extra, has Howard signed with anyone? Here's the problem with Xavier Howard. He is going to count this year on the cap already for $12 million of dead money. So, to sign him, you are going to have to pitch. He already counts for 12. He ain't coming back for free. You got to give him another $5. That makes him an $18 million corner. He's not an $18 million corner. Why would you do that? It makes no sense. Plus, he didn't play last year. He's probably not the same guy. I know there's been rumblings and people have pushed that narrative. It literally makes zero sense because he counts like $12 million or like 10.5 or 12, something like that, against the cap already. So for Miami, that makes no sense to go back and kick the can on Xavier Howard. There's guys like Rasul from the Bills who was here in town last week. But again, his passer rating last year was 123.7. If you're going to throw a pass, all the opponents, where's Rasul Douglas? Throw it at him. He can't stop nobody. So it's like the guys who are out there. I'm speechless.
Yeah.
We got to do something. We
gotta do
definitely need to do
something.
something.
It's May.
And
so we
I heard it
got
on
time.
I heard it on Joe Rose either this morning or yesterday, where he was talking about, one of three things is going to happen when you sign a corner. You're going to find one that was injured in the past. You're going to find one that that is just not talented, or you're going to find one that that is just really old. He's in his early 30s, and he needs a home.
Stephon Gilmore.
That's the three. So that's at this point, that's the category that you're going to be looking at when you're looking in free agency for a cornerback.
Stephon Gilmore's 34. He'll be 35 in September. Here's the thing with Stephon. He will be that age. He's actually been healthy the past few years and played a lot. So, yeah, you're signing an old guy, which would skew the whole age of the team range significantly up, because right now they are the youngest team in the league, which is a good thing. But if they sign him, that's going to push them right back up to the median. We're like in the middle probably. But out of all the guys who are out there, he'd probably be the one I want. I don't know if they'll do it. It's slim pickings. I think via trade's probably their best avenue. And I guarantee you, whatever they do, that last week of August, first week of September after final cuts, they're going to be putting in so many waiver claims on safeties and corners. It's not even funny. They're going to be putting in a ton on other teams' cast-offs. But actually, there's a couple safeties out there worth signing. And I do hope they get one. There's Will Blackman, right? Is that his name, from Indianapolis? And Justin Simmons, who probably wants way too much. I don't think we're getting Justin Simmons. But there's a couple guys out there who are actually pretty good at safety. It's just a corner market's just there's nothing. But yeah, that's the schedule. Don't know if we got any. Yeah, go ahead, Ian.
I just saw a stat, and I'm going to have to actually jump off here in a minute, but the Miami Dolphins tied for third in the NFL in primetime games for this upcoming season.
That's amazing.
Cam Ward and Sanders got none.
Well, Sanders is on the Browns. I mean, I don't count that. Tennessee should have had one.
With Cam Ward, I think they should have had at least a Thursday night football game.
How did they not get one?
And they gave the Dolphins 2. They gave the Cowboys 4. There's 4 for the Dallas Cowboys.
Let's look real quick before Ian leaves us here. The Titans schedule. How do they not get a Thursday? I thought every team had at least one. Son of a bitch, they didn't get one.
Nope.
Wow.
So I think what that's telling you, and the NFL puts out the schedule, gives teams prime time slots if they have high expectations for those teams, right? The Dolphins had high expectations last year. It's so funny because the fan base for the Dolphins don't have very high expectations for the reasons that we continue to talk about, right? How we're slim and the defense. Now, where we have a high octane offense, and traditionally putting up high points, putting it up a high number of points is very entertaining. And that's possibly what the NFL was thinking, because, if you have a healthy Tua, you got Tyreek, you got Waddle, you got Devon Achane, who they're talking as being a potential top 5 running back in the National Football League. It's going to be a very entertaining team. So, for everybody who's feeling that doom and gloom, the NFL clearly does not feel the same way about this team. I think that's a message that has been sent.
Yeah, and plus, here's the deal. The NFL loves to go to Miami for primetime games because, again, I've told this story numerous times. ABC, Monday Night Football, back when it first started, 70s or 80s, they used to reward their crew by scheduling early parts of the final month, because back then the schedule was different. First week of December, second week, a game in Miami, because they would hold their Christmas party for the all there for the crew. And if you go through the history of the Dolphins from Monday Night Football started like mid to late 70s, all the way through up to like the 90s-ish, they're always one Monday Night Football game in Miami. Tech game versus the Bears, Monday night, first week of December. I mean, if you look at their history, first, second week, they always have a home game. And if you look at this schedule, it's not exactly like that, but they got one game versus the Ravens on a Thursday night. When's that, like week, whatever it is. It's just, so it's like there's, prime time games. Cincinnati, right before Christmas. These teams love to go to Miami for primetime games when they can, because they like to reward their crew with a nice weekend where they're not standing outside shivering in parkas up in somewhere cold.
I was gonna say you have to imagine that if one team or both teams are hovering at 500, maybe slightly under 500, going into that Cincinnati game
Well, that's
late
getting
this season. No, what I'm saying is you have to imagine that all the production workers and Tirico and Collinsworth, everybody's going to plead the NFL. Please don't shift this game away from Miami. Please.
Don't send us
It's
to
gonna be
Philly. We're going to
beautiful
freeze our
down
balls
there.
off.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to call it
All
a
right,
night. I
Ian.
actually shut the lights off already. So
You're
that's like
fine.
my
Have a good
cue.
one, buddy.
All right, bud.
Take
See
care.
you.
Fins up, everybody. Good
All
night.
right, later. Yeah, so that's where we are with that. Yeah, the schedule, I mean, look, it is what it is. It's look, we are not going to do week by week. I refuse to do week by week right now in May. But yeah, I mean, again, first half of the year, those first 8 weeks can't be worse than 5-3. 5-3 is the worst they can be if they want a chance of making a playoff, because the AFC is so stinking tough, even for a wild card spot.
Yep.
It's just so stinking tough. So, but that stretch of Ravens, Bills, Commanders is going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal. That's the season right there. If they just don't go 0-3. You go 0. And here's something else, Tom. We know the narratives that are out there. This team can't beat teams that are good. This team loses versus teams that are good. Well, week 3 versus the Bills on the road, and then week 6 Chargers at home, because they're a playoff team, the Chargers. They qualify as good. Those are your first 2 opportunities. Like, if they beat the Colts or Patriots, no one's going to care. So whatever, it's Colts and Patriots. If they beat the Jets, no one's going to care. If they beat the Panthers, no one's going to care. At the Bills, home against the Chargers, win one of those games and beat a team that was in the playoffs last year, and that's halfway decent. Because after that, no one cares about the Browns or Falcons. And that brings it to Ravens, Bills, Commanders. If they lose to the Bills and if they lose to the Chargers, what do you think is going to happen when they get to that Ravens, Bills, Washington trio? It's the Dolphins. They're going to go 0-3, no chance of winning. That's the narrative. To kill the narrative, win one of those 2 games, for crying out loud, and beat a halfway decent team. But yeah, that's it. That's our schedule release time. Anything else you want to talk about?
No. It's always fun to get to this point. The draft is over. The schedule is now out. You can make your plans to travel to, go see this team play, whether it's, in Florida or around the country. It's a lot of fun. We're just getting closer and closer to football being back full time, which now we're in our dead period. This is going to be a very, very slow time for at least the next 30 days before June mini camps begin. And then we got 7 weeks from then, 6 or 7 weeks from then, finally then training camp will open up. So this is the dog days of late spring into summer, where there's not going to be much going on. Obviously, after June 1st, we might have the Jalen Ramsey news. We might have some other news come across, but it's going to be slow. But
there should be a couple signings, because once they trade Ramsey, they got money. So there should be a couple signings coming, especially in the secondary. So we're going to have shows, at least a couple shows a week. I'm going to work on a lot of interviews. Now, they're not all going to be Zach Thomas. But I'm working a couple interviews.
That was a great interview, by the way.
Yeah, it was. It was all him. He's a great guy. Exactly. I just asked the questions and smart enough to zip my lip and let him talk. Yeah, so we'll do some shows each week. We're going to have shows. And if you sign up for Dolphins Talk Extra, we have other shows as well. We have a show that Josh is doing every day where he answers 1 listener's question per day. So some shows are 5-6 minutes. Some shows are a little bit less. Some shows a little bit more. He answers 1 listener's question a day, but you got to be part of Dolphins Talk Extra. May 23rd, Friday night, we have another happy hour where if you are a member of our extra community, you can jump on with Josh, with myself, with Aaron, interact with us live. You're part of the show, but you got to be signed up for Dolphins Talk Extra. Patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. $3 a month. Sign up for, here it is, Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. $3 a month. Sign up for that. We have so much other content there. And again, private message board, less toxic than social media. And we give away autographs and apparel and all these other great stuff, and like a ton of great stuff as well. So sign up for that. But we're going to keep you held over here just because it's a slow period. We're still going to have shows. Yeah. There's going to be lots of talk about, a lot of speculation. We'll have to, look, with Tyreek Hill, he'll always be in the news. We'll have stuff to talk about there. I'm sure we're just a few days away from another headline from him. And yes, I'm sure someone's got something to criticize about our quarterback who might have a mixed drink on Memorial Day weekend. That'll cause headlines we'll have to talk about. Something dumb like that. There's always something to talk about in the world of the Dolphins. Never dull, never boring, and we'll have content there as well. All right, everyone, check out the website, DolphinsTalk.com. A lot of new stuff up there. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Audible, wherever, we're on hundreds. Subscribe. So when I drop a surprise show like with Zach Thomas, boom, you're notified right on your smart device. So subscribe to that. Also, shout out to our friends at finheaven.com. We'll go to finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. And a shout out to Carlos Hernandez and all the great people at the Facebook group. I am a Miami Dolphins fan. If you're on Facebook, please be sure you are a part of the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook group. Everyone, have a great Wednesday night. Have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you again after a while. And folks, don't forget, we must put an end to highway profanity.
Thumbs up.